Hi, I'm Jessica, and I want to share the next part of my teaching that just kind of made me go, seriously? I filmed my videos of my timeline. I did that as a little keepsake for me because they have been just a big part of my 15 years of my life. And I love teaching. It's who I am. It's who I've always wanted to be. It's just where I've wanted to spend my life. So I decided to tell that story in my previous videos, and it's given me the opportunity to reflect on each of those years. And through that whole process, the number one thing, besides the fact that I love teaching and that I love being in the classroom and that I persevered and things like that, was the fact that I was kind of mistreated. And when you're in the muck of it and you're doing life and you're doing what you love, you tend to move past things and you push through it and you do it because you love the students and you love teaching. And that's what I did. And I had known during the time that certain situation that it wasn't good and that it wasn't very nice. And yet I kept teaching because that's who I am and that's where I wanted to be. And I did an audio for my Instagram page, and it was "You Can't Break My Soul," and that's how I express myself, is through dance and movement. And so I was coming up with a plan for "You Can't Break My Soul," and just having fun with it. And it made me realize that through everything I've been through as a teacher, you can't break my soul. Like, you can't take away that love of teaching that I have, although you possibly could have. Like, you could have ruined it for me. You really could have, but I was pushing so hard to do something that I loved. And so that song has inspired me to share the next part of my teaching life, which is just a quick reflection, which will hopefully help other teachers as their journey begins or progresses as a teacher and dealing with administration. So I taught for 15 years, and I was at 4 schools, which isn't bad. I'm very blessed with that. 10 of those years was at one school, actually. So I'm going to tell you about my experience with some of admin. And the reason why I want to share that is to let people know that, things happen that you don't even realize happen to teachers, but also to hopefully maybe give some advice because I didn't handle certain things the way I probably should have, or I just got taken advantage of as a teacher. So I'm hoping that by sharing this, I can help new teachers and teachers on their journey to still be happy and not get their soul broken. So let's start at the beginning. First principal, really liked him. Didn't ever see him though. He worked at 2 different schools. I was at the tiny little school that he just very rarely visited. I was at a school with all really good teachers, experienced teachers, so he really didn't need to check on them. I was the only new one. So yeah, he didn't spend much time there. Didn't really know him. He was a nice guy. My second principal I absolutely loved. And you know what? He's one of those principals where I had a tiff with. And I was like, nah, 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 nah. And he came back and was like, there you go. And even though we had this tiff, my hair's driving me nuts. I didn't do my hair today, so I just brushed it. Anyways, so he and I actually became good friends because of this first tiff within the first 3 months of school or something. But we already had a good relationship, friendship, whatever, that I shared on my previous video. I think it was my middle years video 3 or something. So anyways, I had a really good experience with him. And then my next principal was after he got fired by the board because I was at a charter school, and they hired a colleague of mine, and I really loved her as a person and as a special ed teacher. I think she was just fantastic. I never felt like she was my admin because we were already friends before, and it was only a few months where she was my admin. But I want to tell what happened with that situation. I was working at a charter school. I had been there for 3 years, 2 years in 5th grade, 1 year as a part-time kindergarten teacher. I had just had my baby, and I did my first year in kindergarten part-time, which I loved and I wanted to continue to do part-time. But I also I liked kindergarten. I didn't love it. I really missed 5th grade. I love teaching the older kids. So I thought, heck, let's go ahead and we were building onto our school. So can I get hired as a part-time US history teacher? I love teaching US history in 5th grade, my favorite topic to teach. And so I thought, can I get hired as that instead? And they said yes. So I got hired as a US history teacher. I was super excited. I was going to get my endorsement and continue those steps. I was so like, this is going to be so awesome. I enjoyed kindergarten, but it was not my place. I just knew, I really miss the older kids. So, and then I could teach some of the kids I had already taught. So I was super excited about this change. Well, without much information, I just was like randomly hearing that my position was being changed to a full-time position. They enrolled so many students in their middle school that they needed to make the US history teacher a full-time job. And I was like, well, I don't want that. So I went and asked them to keep me as a part-time teacher, and they said, no, we're hiring full-time. I was like, okay, well then I'll just go back to kindergarten part-time. And they looked at me and said, no, we switched that to a full-time position too. I was like, so you took my part-time position twice and changed it? Like, talk about make someone feel like crap. Like, I had been there for 3 years. I was one of the founding teachers. I started the 5th grade program. I was the teacher mentor. I helped set the school up as a great charter school. I was a big part of that, and I loved every moment of it. And after 3 years, it was like, oh, well, we're going to do what we want. So you can do what I want or you can leave. And I was like, okay, I'll take the full-time job, I guess. Well, I didn't want the full-time job. I was a mom, and I knew that I still wanted to be home with my little one if I could. And I did not like what happened to me. And so I was trying to find another option, and I was looking. Well, rumor got back to admin and the board that I was looking for a position and planning on leaving the school, and they were not happy. But I was trying to protect my own. I needed to have a job. So if I couldn't have a job, then I'd have to do full-time. But I was trying so hard to find that part-time job. And so they called me in at the beginning of summer, and I don't want to say reamed me, but they were pretty mean and just said I can't do what I was doing, and I shouldn't be talking to people telling them I wasn't coming back, and I better plan things out and tell them what my plan is. And I was like, okay, I'm just trying to take care of my family and me right now. You took away my position twice. I'm just trying to make sure I have a job doing something I love. And so that's what I'm planning. So I was honest. Yep, I do plan on still trying to find a part-time job, even if that's not at this school. And they were like, no, you have to decide now. We're not going to keep you on if you don't decide now. I'm like, well, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to work here there anymore. See you later, charter school. And the admin and board said to me, are you sure? Do you want to be hired as a Spanish speaking teacher? You can teach the kids Spanish. And I was like, yeah, I could teach Spanish. I don't speak it very well, but I could teach it. Are you going to pay me like a teacher? No. Oh, so you want me to stay at your school and not pay me my worth? Nope. Ciao. So that was my first experience with admin being treated like, you don't matter. Like, too bad, so sad type thing. So I left a lot of friends, a lot of families that I really loved. And I was very sad. Well, at my next school, I did share about this next experience in one of my previous videos, so I won't go into too much details, but it was awful. I got hired as a part-time teacher in my district, and you're gonna have to watch the video, but basically I got hired with someone who hated me, and I didn't even know her. I didn't know her, and I didn't know that she hated me. She knew me, and she knew she hated me before I even had a chance. So my year was pretty much screwed from there on. But the part I did want to share is admin. He seemed like a really nice person, but it did not take long to realize that he did not care about me as a teacher. I was just a teacher to him. I was a new teacher. It was my first year in the district. I was on year 4 of teaching, but first time in a district, or in this district, and he did not want to help me. The secretaries didn't want to help me, and my team leader didn't want to help me because she hated me. So here I was, I'd go to the secretaries and ask for help about something, and she'd look at me, give me a dirty look, and be like, go figure it out. And I was like, I am trying to figure it out. Like, I've taught, this is my 5th year teaching, and I don't know how to do this. Like, this is all new. This is my first year in the district. Go ask another teacher. Okay, well, the only one I can ask hates me. So, okay, I guess I just won't get this done, or I won't get it done right, or I'll just spend hours trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. So the secretary was super mean that year, just because she didn't like my questions and she didn't want to help me. And my admin, he got super annoyed with me as well, because I would simply go to him and say, I don't know how to handle this situation. Can you help me? And it was, go ask the other teacher. That's why you have a mentor teacher. I'm like, well, she won't help me is the problem. So I need someone to help me with this. And it was so embarrassing, because he was like, you just need to go ask her. I'm like, okay. Well, literally the next day I was walking past her classroom, and he was in the classroom literally saying this to her. Why is she in my office talking to me? Why is she asking for help that she should not be asking me for help? It's not my job to do that. And I was like, oh, okay, should I stay and listen? And he continued with things like, yeah, you're supposed to help her. And she would say things like, well, she doesn't know what she's doing. Well, some things are brand new. And I do know what I was doing with a lot of things, but some things in the district are very picky. So I didn't know what I was doing. And they were just reaming me. And I thought, well, I can't go to admin anymore, because he's going to go talk bad about me to the teacher that's making me feel like crap every single day. So, okay, so I finished that school year out. I shared in my last video that I cried a lot. One of the things that he had done, so to maybe help you with a situation of a bad relationship with another teacher, is make another friend. I at least found another friend that I could, it was her, she was brand new to teaching, so we worked on things together and made things work and be possible. It's really hard when you don't have a working team and you don't have a nice mentor. Those are really hard times. And so you find other ways of getting help. And that's why hopefully as I share more on YouTube and Instagram, I can help those teachers, because sometimes it's so lonely as a teacher and you don't know what to do, and you don't have the help either because your colleagues don't care. They aren't in the same, like they don't have the same time schedule as you where you can help each other, or you're in a small school and you just don't get help. So there's lots of reasons and lots of resources. I actually did a reel once, I did a reel months ago where it's help is on the way, and it was so much fun. And I listed a few things of how you can get help. So I should probably like blog that out or something. But anyways, going back to focus. So he didn't ever address anything that I had to say to him, but he required a lot from me. So I was a part-time teacher and my contract was this time to this time. And I had a babysitter at home for my little one. And I lived 20 minutes away from work, and he would make me come in extra time. And sometimes it would be in the afternoon. So I'd go home, pick up my son from daycare, feed him, take him to a daycare or babysitter again, drive all the way back to work for a meeting. But he would make me go to these meetings. I had to do a planning meeting and I had to do like a PLC meeting. And it was like 2 extra hours every week that I was not getting paid for. And he was like, that's what you do as a teacher. Well, turns out, no, it's not. I just didn't know that. I was brand new. I was trying so hard to fit in. I was trying so hard to do everything that I needed to do as a teacher and make my admin happy and think I was a good teacher, that I let him walk all over me. I spent so many hours giving time to that school and planning, and I spent so much money paying extra time to babysitting. So I was paying for a babysitter and not getting paid. Dumb. Very, very dumb. And I let it happen because I didn't know any better and I didn't know how to handle it. So I'll tell you this, if it's not in your contract time, you don't have to do it. If they want you to do it outside your contract time, they'll pay you to do it. And if there's a problem with that, go higher up. Okay? Someone out there's got to be higher up that can help you figure this out, which I have done. So sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. Okay, so then I moved to another school. I had a fantastic principal, really loved her. She kept to me as a part-time teacher. She made every effort to keep me and totally made me feel loved. And that meant so much to me because she knew the quality that I gave. She knew how much I loved the students and she wanted that at her school. Yes, someone who finally wanted a teacher who loves her job and would do anything at her school. Like, what a great thing is to love what you do and have someone want to keep you. Loved having her as my principal. We got a new principal a few years back, completely different, and the situation hasn't been the same. I'm not going to tell too much about the situation, but I am going to tell how I was treated at the end of the school year. I'm not going to talk about anything during the school year. I'm not ready to do that, but I will talk about the end of each school year. So as the part-time teacher, you always never know if you're going to have a job, especially with numbers. You don't know if you're going to have enough students for the next year. And so you're like, come January, you're like, do we have enough kids enrolled for next year? Are they projecting that we're going to need this amount of classes? Like, it's so stressful. And I went through it for years, but at least I knew I had an admin who finally loved me, who felt that I was quality and needed me at her school. Well, with the new principal, I had no idea what she really thought about me. And so I was stressed. I mean, every year I was stressed, but I was back to being really, really stressed. And that first year it was like, nah, it'll be fine. Like, no big deal. You can work at any school in the district. You're part-time. They're typically needing a part-time anytime. So, we'll find you a spot if there's no spot here. And I was like, well, I have 2 kids that go to school here and I live close to the school. So it is kind of important for me to be at the school because how am I going to get my kid to school at 8 in the morning? Because he can't come any earlier than 8. Well, I have 2 boys. I have 2 boys. They can't come any earlier than 8, but I have to be anywhere in the district, which could be 30 minutes away, at 8 o'clock. Oh yeah, and I had 2 daughters that were in daycare. So I had to drop off my 2 daughters at daycare, drop my boys off at school, and then drive somewhere else in the district. And that was no big deal. Like, okay, well, I'm glad you don't care about my personal life. I guess that's not admin's job, is to figure out how I'm going to help my personal life. But it was like smack in the face after 6 years of being at the school, after being team leader and mentor teacher, and just an all-around good teacher that loves her students. You can go anywhere, no big deal. Okay, thank you. So then the next year I had a job. And we weren't worried about numbers. Well, last year, it was quite interesting. I mentored a brand new teacher. It was her first year teacher. She was full-time and I was half-time. I absolutely loved her. Something about new teachers is that they're coming in so much more prepared and knowledgeable than I was, and have boundaries, which I didn't have. So anyways, loved working with her. She taught me a lot of things in how to handle the walking on top of people. So anyways, well, we were projecting at 4 classes the following year. So I thought it was going to be the full-time teacher, me, and we'd hire another teacher. Turns out that wasn't the plan. The plan was her, the brand new teacher, move a first grade teacher down to kindergarten. That left me, bye-bye. I had been at the school for 9 years. 9 years. I had 3 children going into the school year next year, and I was out. I didn't have a position because I was the part-time person. No big deal. Didn't matter that team lead, mentor, only consistent kindergarten teacher for 10 years. I've had so many colleagues that always leave after a few years. They chose someone else over me. Obviously, I didn't matter. Then again, you don't matter as a teacher. That's exactly how I felt. Luckily for me, that teacher, that full-time brand new teacher, she decided to do part-time. So she was going to stay home with her new baby and just work half day. So then I had a job again. So we had 4 classes and I had a job, and what a relief for me. I signed up to teach my own daughter. So excited to do that. I didn't want to miss that opportunity. 4 classes, guess what? Over summer, we didn't get enough students. We only had 3 classes. So she had her full-time teacher and she needed 1 more. It was me or the new teacher. She had already kicked me out, so I was like, she'd kick me out just as easily. I have no idea. The other teacher decided to stay home full-time with her baby, and that gave me a position at the school for another year. What a relief. I'm so happy she's happy being a mom at home. I'm so relieved that I still got to be a teacher and teach my daughter. Then this year rolled around, and come February, I was told there most likely wasn't going to be a spot for a part-time teacher. I should have seen this coming. Every year, I'm stressing my job. Every year, I'm being told, you don't matter because you're part-time. No one actually cares about you as a part-time teacher. Doesn't matter how much you love your job. Doesn't matter how much you give, how much you've done for your school. Sometimes people just don't care. So in February, I was told there most likely wasn't going to be a position. I've already told that story, so I'm not going to repeat that whole story. But once again, a smack in the face. Here is a teacher who has loved her job for 15 years, who all she wanted to be as a young child was a teacher. That was it. That was my life goal, is to be a teacher for years and years and years. And here I was being told, you don't matter. Doesn't matter how much you give, how much you love. If I don't need you, peace out. So there's my story. Admin is truly hard to work with. And so when you have a good admin, follow them. I've never understood that. When I hear teachers follow admin to new schools, I get it now. If you have a good admin, keep with them, stick with them. If you are having difficulties with your admin, we've got to brainstorm ways of how to solve it. I did solve it my own way, and I'm not sure if I should share that just yet, but I will say that I stood up for myself. I no longer will be taken advantage of as a teacher. Now I don't have to worry about that, thankfully, but that's my story about how admin has mistreated me, and I kept pushing because I love it. So if you want to keep teachers in the schools and in the classroom, there's so many factors, but one of the main factors is admin. If you're constantly making your teachers feel bad and not successful and that they don't matter, they're not going to stay. Think about it. Us teachers have so much potential, and we don't even try that potential because we're doing what we love, which is being with kids. We're teaching. That's what our passion is. And so many of us are getting pushed out because we don't matter. So it is what it is. We'll have to brainstorm. Maybe I'll blog ideas about how to help with that admin situation, because there are things that we can do. But number one, you need to know that you can stand up for yourself. You can say no. You can go above their head. There are options. So have a wonderful day.